The sun beat down on the New Mexico desert as Dr. Olivia Warren wiped sweat from her brow. 6 weeks of digging had yielded nothing but dust and disappointment. Until today. Dr. Warren, you need to see this. Olivia squinted against the harsh light to see her assistant waving frantically from the edge of excavation site B. She grabbed her water bottle and hurried over, her boots kicking up small clouds of dust with each step. The young assistant pointed at something gleaming in the freshly exposed soil. Olivia crouched down and brushed away the remaining dirt with her gloved hands. Her breath caught in her throat. That's impossible, she whispered. The object was about the size of a dinner plate, metallic with strange symbols etched around its circumference. But what made Olivia's heart race wasn't its appearance. It was what her instruments were telling her. According to her initial readings, this artifact was over 65 million years old. 2,000 miles away, Navy Commander Jack Holloway stood on the bridge of the USS Endeavour, a state-of-the-art submarine conducting research near the Mariana Trench. The crew had been mapping unexplored sections of the ocean floor when their sensors detected something unusual. "Commander, we're picking up an energy signature that doesn't match anything in our database," Lieutenant Peter Fisher said, his eyes never leaving his monitor. "It's coming from approximately 12,000 feet below us." Jack leaned over to look at the readings. "Natural or artificial?" "Definitely artificial, sir. And it's, pulsing." Jack straightened up. "How long has it been active?" "That's the thing, Commander. According to these readings, it's been active for at least 10,000 years." Neither Jack nor Olivia knew they were being watched. From a nondescript office building in Arlington, Virginia, two people observed separate video feeds showing the discoveries. "Both sites activated within 24 hours of each other," said the woman, her silver hair pulled back in a tight bun. "The timeline is accelerating." Her companion, a tall man with dark skin and serious eyes, nodded. "Should we bring them in?" "Immediately," she replied, before others notice. 3 days later, Olivia found herself in a black SUV with tinted windows heading to an undisclosed location. The government officials who had arrived at her dig site had been polite but firm. Her discovery was now classified, and she was needed for consultation. Her artifact had been carefully packed and transported separately. Meanwhile, Jack was flown from his submarine to a military airfield, where he too was placed in a similar vehicle. Both were told only that their discoveries had national security implications. The SUVs arrived at a remote airstrip where a small, unmarked jet waited. Olivia and Jack noticed each other as they boarded the plane. "Dr. Olivia Warren," she said, extending her hand. "Xenoarchaeology." Jack shook it firmly. "Commander Jack Holloway, Navy. Do you have any idea what this is about?" "Only that it relates to something very old and very strange that I found in New Mexico." "Funny," Jack said. "Mine was very old and very strange too, but at the bottom of the Pacific." They fell silent as the plane took off. 4 hours later, they landed at another remote airstrip, this one surrounded by mountains. A helicopter waited to take them even deeper into the wilderness. By nightfall, they had arrived at what appeared to be an ordinary military research facility nestled in a valley. But as they descended in an elevator that required multiple biometric scans, Olivia realized this was anything but ordinary. The elevator doors opened to reveal a vast underground complex bustling with activity. Scientists in lab coats, military personnel, and others in civilian clothes moved purposefully through wide corridors. An older woman with kind eyes but a commanding presence approached them. "Commander Holloway, Dr. Warren, thank you for coming. I'm Director Eleanor Hughes. Welcome to Guardian Protocol." She led them to a conference room where Olivia's artifact sat on the table next to what appeared to be a black crystalline structure the size of a basketball. Jack recognized it as the object detected in the Mariana Trench. "I imagine you both have questions," Eleanor said as they sat down. "About 1 million, Olivia replied. "Starting with how my artifact can possibly be 65 million years old yet clearly manufactured." Eleanor smiled. "Because it was manufactured, Dr. Warren, just not by humans." The silence that followed was broken by a muscular man with a military bearing who entered the room. "The ambassador is ready," he said. Thank you, Paul, Eleanor replied. Commander Holloway, Dr. Warren, this is our security chief, Paul Martinez. Paul nodded curtly. Follow me. They walked through several more security checkpoints before reaching a massive circular door. Paul placed his hand on a scanner, and the door slowly opened to reveal a chamber unlike anything Olivia or Jack had ever seen. The room was dimly lit with an ethereal blue glow. In the center stood a being that was decidedly not human. Tall and slender with iridescent skin, it had 4 arms and a face featuring large, multifaceted eyes. Dr. Warren, Commander Holloway, Eleanor said quietly. Meet Ambassador Zilvex, senior representative of the Galactic Conclave to Earth. The alien inclined its head slightly. When it spoke, the words seemed to form directly in their minds. Your discoveries were not accidents, Zilvex communicated. They were meant to be found when humanity reached the appropriate stage of development. Olivia found her voice first. How long have you been here? I have been Earth's guardian for merely 3 centuries, Zilvex answered. But my people have watched over this planet for 65 million years. Jack stepped forward. Watched over us, why? Eleanor replied, because Earth was reserved a seat at the Galactic Conclave long before humans existed. We were marked for greatness before we even evolved. The artifacts you found are confirmation keys, Paul explained. They're part of an ancient system designed to activate when humanity approached readiness to join the galactic community. Readiness for what? Jack asked. Zilvex's next words changed everything. Earth is not merely invited to join the Conclave, Commander. Earth was reserved the position of arbiter, the highest authority in galactic governance. Eleanor's expression grew serious. And now that the keys have activated, we have exactly 1 year to claim Earth's seat, or we forfeit it forever. Olivia looked from the alien to her artifact and back again. But why us? Why Earth? That, said Eleanor, is what you two are going to help us find out. Outside the facility, high in orbit, a cloaked ship received a transmission. Inside, a reptilian figure with scaled skin reviewed the data with growing concern. The humans have found the keys, it hissed to its companions. Alert the Draxian High Command. The operation must be accelerated. The ship silently changed course, heading toward Earth's moon, where a hidden base had been monitoring the blue planet for decades, waiting for this very moment. Olivia could not sleep that night. Her small quarters in the underground facility were comfortable enough, but her mind raced with questions. How could Earth have been reserved a seat in some galactic government before humans even existed? What did these aliens see in their planet that made it so special? Morning came too quickly. A soft knock on her door revealed Paul Martinez, the security chief, standing with 2 cups of coffee. Thought you might need this, he said, handing her a steaming cup. Thanks, Olivia said, accepting it gratefully. How long have you been part of this Guardian Protocol? Paul leaned against the doorframe. 7 years, was Special Forces before that. Didn't believe any of it at first. He glanced down the hallway. Sometimes I still don't. You don't trust the aliens? Olivia asked. Let's just say I've learned to be careful about gifts that seem too good to be true. Paul straightened up. Meeting in 30 minutes. Director Hughes wants to show you both something. Down the hall, Jack Holloway was reviewing files he'd been given access to. The history of the Guardian Protocol stretched back centuries. The first documented contact was in 1547, when an alien craft landed in a remote part of what would become North Carolina. Only a handful of native people witnessed it, and over time their accounts became dismissed as legends. More structured contact began in the late 1800s, when the first formal Guardian Protocol was established. Each generation, a select few humans were brought into the secret to maintain Earth's relationship with the Conclave's observers. Jack looked up as his door opened. Director Hughes entered, her face serious. Good morning, Commander. I hope you're finding the files helpful. They're fascinating, Jack replied, but they don't explain why Earth was chosen. Eleanor nodded. That's what we're going to address today. Please join me in the main chamber in 15 minutes. The main chamber was larger than Jack remembered. Olivia was already there, examining what appeared to be a three-dimensional star map hovering in the center of the room. "Amazing," she whispered as Jack approached. "It's showing the positions of star systems across the galaxy, but the technology, I've never seen anything like it. The conclave is approximately 50,000 years ahead of current Earth technology," said a voice behind them. "Ambassador." Zilvex entered the room accompanied by three other aliens of different species. One resembled a tall, thin humanoid with silvery skin. Another was shorter with multiple eye stalks. The third moved like a fluid within a containment suit. "May I present," Eleanor said, "the current Earth Guardian Council, representatives from the 7 species tasked with monitoring Earth's development." The silver-skinned being stepped forward. "I am Telor of the Lumidian Collective. We have watched your species develop writing, mathematics, and early science." The being with eye stalks spoke next, its voice translated through a small device. "I am Vralkaz of the Perceptors. We have monitored your spiritual and philosophical growth." The fluid being's containment suit lit up with patterns as it communicated. "I am Oceanus. My people have observed your relationship with your planets, oceans, and atmosphere." "And 4 others who cannot be physically present," Eleanor explained. "Together they represent the Guardian Council assigned to Earth by the Galactic Conclave." Zilvex moved to the star map and touched a point that glowed blue. "Earth." Then he pointed to a distant section that pulsed red. "The Conclave Central Chambers, 27,000 light-years from here." Paul entered the room, his face tense. "Director, we have a situation. The Deep Space Monitoring Station has detected a ship entering the solar system. It's not one of ours." Zilvex's skin changed color slightly. "A Draxian scout vessel. They are earlier than expected." "The Draxians?" Jack asked. "A powerful empire within the Conclave," Eleanor explained. "They've opposed Earth's reserved status from the beginning. They believe seats should be earned through technological advancement, not whatever reason Earth was chosen." "Which brings us back to the central question," Olivia said. "Why was Earth selected? What makes our planet so special?" Zilvex looked at the other aliens who nodded in unison. "It is time they knew," he said. The star map disappeared, replaced by images of Earth from millions of years ago. They watched as meteors struck the planet, dinosaurs roamed, and ice ages came and went. 65 million years ago, Zilvex explained, the founders of the Conclave were facing extinction. A cosmic event was destroying their civilization. In desperation, they seeded 100 planets with their genetic material, hoping that evolution would eventually recreate their species. The images changed to show early primates, then early humans, then modern people. 99 of those planets produced life, but none recreated the founders. Only Earth came close. Humans share 97% of critical genetic markers. With the founders, Jack and Olivia stared in shock. "You're saying humans are descendants of these founders?" Jack asked. "Not direct descendants," Taylor clarified. "But your evolutionary path was guided by their genetic material. In essence, humans are the closest living relatives to the species that created the Galactic Conclave." "The seat, reserved for Earth," Eleanor said quietly, "is actually the founders' seat, the position of arbiter that they held before their extinction." Olivia's mind raced. "So the artifacts we found—" "Confirmation keys," Zilvex said, "placed by the last founders who visited Earth. They would only activate when humans reached a certain level of genetic and technological readiness." The chamber's light suddenly dimmed as an alarm sounded. Paul rushed to a control panel. "The Draxian ship has changed course," he reported. "It's heading for the moon." "They have a base there," Zilvex said, "hidden on the far side. They've been monitoring Earth for decades." "Why would they care so much about stopping us?" Jack asked. "Power," Eleanor said simply. "The Arbiter has final authority in all Conclave decisions. If humans take that seat, the balance of power shifts away from the Draxian Empire. And we have exactly 1 year to claim it," Olivia remembered, "before we forfeit it forever." "Less now," Zilvex corrected. The activation of the keys started a countdown. "We have 11 months, 2 weeks, and 3 days." What happens if we don't claim it in time? Jack asked. The seat goes to the next strongest power, Eleanor said grimly. The Draxians. And what would they do with that power? Olivia asked. Zilvex's skin darkened. They believe in resource optimization. Planets are categorized by usefulness. Those deemed inefficient are repurposed. Meaning, Jack pressed, their populations are relocated and the planets are harvested for resources, Paul explained. Earth would be classified as inefficient due to our preservation of natural spaces and biodiversity. So we're talking about the extinction of humanity, Olivia said. Not extinction, Zilvex corrected, but the end of human civilization as you know it. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Then Jack spoke. What do we need to do to claim our seat? Eleanor smiled slightly. That's the right question, Commander. And to answer it, we need to activate the other confirmation keys hidden around the planet. How many are there? Olivia asked. 7, Eleanor replied. You've found 2. We need to find the others before the Draxians interfere. On the far side of the moon, a dozen reptilian figures gathered around a holographic display showing Earth. Their leader, a scarred veteran named Kral, studied the data with growing concern. 2 keys activated, he hissed. We must move quickly. One of his subordinates approached. The human trader has made contact. He's ready to help us. Kral nodded. Good. Tell Senator Wallace we are ready to proceed with the plan. Rain pounded against the windows of the small private jet as it approached the coast of Ireland. Olivia looked out at the dark clouds, feeling the weight of their mission. Next to her, Jack studied satellite images of their destination. A remote island off the western coast, home to ancient stone structures that predated Stonehenge. You really think one of the keys is hidden there? Jack asked. Olivia nodded. The symbols on the first artifact match carvings found in those stones. If I'm right, the third key has been hiding in plain sight for 5,000 years. Across the aisle, Paul checked his weapon for the 3rd time. We're not alone in this search. Intelligence reports Draxian agents operating in the area. Their plane landed at a small airstrip where a helicopter waited to take them to the island. The rain had stopped, but dark clouds still hung low over the landscape. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., Eleanor Hughes arrived at the Capitol building for a closed-door meeting. Security was tight, but she had the necessary clearances. The Guardian Protocol had high-level connections across many governments. She was shown to a conference room where 3 senior senators waited. Among them was Gregory Wallace, a powerful man with silver hair and a charming smile that didn't reach his eyes. Director Hughes, Wallace said, standing to greet her. Thank you for briefing us on this situation. Eleanor had worked in intelligence long enough to recognize a predator. Wallace was fishing for information. The question was, why? Senators, she began. What I'm about to share is classified at the highest level. On the Irish island, Olivia, Jack and Paul approached the ancient stone circle. Rain began to fall again as Olivia examined the weathered carvings. Here, she said, pointing to a series of symbols. These match the patterns on the artifact from New Mexico. Jack ran his hand over the stone. So how do we activate it? The key isn't actually the stone, Olivia explained. It's under it. Paul helped them move smaller rocks away from the base of the largest stone. Underneath, they found a small cavity. Inside was an object similar to the one from New Mexico, but smaller and made of a green crystalline material. As Olivia removed it, the object began to glow. Patterns of light swirled across its surface. It's activating, she said, excitement in her voice. Suddenly, Paul pushed them both to the ground as a beam of energy hit the stone where they had been standing. The rock sizzled and smoked. Take cover, Paul shouted, drawing his weapon. From the trees surrounding the stone circle, 3 figures emerged. They looked human at first glance, but their movements were too fluid, too precise. Their eyes reflected the cloudy light like mirrors. Draxian infiltrators, Paul whispered. They're wearing biosuits to look human. Jack pulled Olivia behind. A large stone. How do we get out of here? The helicopter is too far, Paul said, firing at one of the infiltrators. The shot hit its target, but the creature barely slowed. These aren't regular troops. They're elite hunters. Olivia looked at the glowing artifact in her hands. Maybe we can use this. How? Jack asked. The artifacts are linked to Founder technology, she explained quickly. If I can amplify its signal. She began adjusting small sections of the artifact, turning them like a puzzle box. The glow intensified. The Draxian hunters advanced carefully, their weapons ready. One circled around the stones, trying to flank them. Paul fired again, hitting one in the leg. The creature stumbled but kept coming. Whatever you're doing, Jack said to Olivia, do it faster. The artifact was now pulsing with bright green light. Olivia made one final adjustment, then held it high. A massive burst of energy erupted from the artifact, expanding in a circle around them. When it touched the Draxian hunters, they screamed, a sound unlike anything human. Their biosuits malfunctioned, revealing glimpses of reptilian skin underneath. Run, Paul shouted, firing again to provide cover. They sprinted toward the coast where a small boat waited. Behind them, the Draxians were recovering, their forms flickering between human appearance and their true reptilian nature. In Washington, Eleanor finished her briefing. She had shared only what was necessary, that an ancient security system had been activated and that hostile forces were trying to interfere with it. And you believe these hostiles pose a genuine threat to national security? Senator Wallace asked. To global security, Eleanor corrected. We need increased funding and resources for the Guardian Protocol. Of course, Wallace said smoothly. We'll need to discuss this further, perhaps in a more private setting. Eleanor felt a chill. Something about Wallace's interest seemed off. As the meeting ended, Wallace made a call from his private office. He spoke quietly in a language no human had ever learned naturally. They have found the third key, he said in the Draxian tongue. Accelerate our plans. Back on the Irish coast, Olivia, Jack, and Paul made it to their boat just as the Draxian hunters reached the beach. Paul started the engine while Jack helped Olivia aboard. They'll track us, Paul warned as they pulled away from shore. Not if we disrupt their systems, Olivia said, still working with the artifact. These keys were designed with defensive capabilities. She pressed a sequence of symbols on the artifact. A pulse of energy spread across the water toward the beach. The Draxian hunters stopped suddenly, their technology failing. That won't hold them long, Olivia said, but it gives us time to escape. As their boat raced toward the mainland, Jack contacted the Guardian Protocol base. We've secured the third key, he reported. But the Draxians knew exactly where to find us. I think we have a leak. Return immediately, came the response. Director Hughes wants you back at headquarters. When they arrived at the base, several hours later, they found Eleanor waiting for them. Her expression was grim. We've identified a human working with the Draxians, she said. Senator Gregory Wallace has been compromised. How bad is it? Paul asked. Very, Eleanor replied. He chairs the committee that oversees our funding, and he's scheduled a visit to this facility tomorrow. Why would he help the Draxians? Jackie wondered. He believes he's saving humanity from alien influence, Eleanor explained. The Draxians convinced him they want to free Earth from the Conclave's oversight. He doesn't realize they plan to classify Earth as an inefficient world. We need to find the other keys before he can interfere, Olivia said, placing the third artifact on the table beside the others. Our analysts have identified the locations of the fourth and fifth keys, Eleanor said. One is in the Amazon rainforest. The other is in Antarctica. We'll need to split up, Jack suggested. We don't have time to find them one by one. Agreed, Eleanor said. Jack, you and Paul will go to Antarctica. Olivia, you'll come with me to the Amazon. And Wallace? Paul asked. I'll deal with him, Eleanor said. But be careful. The Draxians are getting desperate. On the dark side of the moon, Kral received the news of the third key's activation with fury. He smashed a control panel with his clawed hand. The humans are proving more resourceful than expected, he hissed. Prepare the strike team. We will retrieve the remaining keys ourselves. A junior officer approached cautiously. The High Command advises against direct intervention. It would violate conclave law. Krell turned, his eyes narrow. The High Command is not here. I am, and I will not let humans claim what should be ours. He turned to a star map showing Earth. Begin preparations. We launch in 12 hours. Snow whipped across the Antarctic landscape as Jack and Paul made their way through the howling wind. Their specialized cold weather gear kept them alive, but just barely. Behind them trudged two Guardian Protocol agents and Dr. Alan Foster, a geologist who had unwittingly discovered unusual readings in this area years ago. The signal is getting stronger, Jack shouted over the wind, checking the device Zilvex had given him. It was designed to detect the unique energy signature of the confirmation keys. How much further? Paul asked, his face barely visible behind his protective mask. 1/2 mile, Jack replied. The key should be inside that ridge. In the dense Amazon rainforest, Olivia wiped sweat from her forehead as she and Eleanor hacked through the thick vegetation. Two local guides led the way, following coordinates based on ancient maps and the signatures from the first 3 keys. The key temple should be just ahead, one guide said, pointing to a rise in the forest floor. What they found wasn't impressive at first glance, just a small stone structure nearly swallowed by the jungle. But Olivia recognized the symbols carved into the worn stone. This is it, she said, excitement building in her voice. These markings match the others. Eleanor surveyed the area. Keep watch, she instructed the guides. We don't know if the Draxians have tracked us here. At the Guardian Protocol headquarters, Ambassador Zilvex received a secure transmission from the Conclave Council. His skin changed colors as he processed the information. Director Hughes must be informed immediately, he told his aides. The Draxian fleet has left their home system. They're coming to Earth in force. In Washington, D.C., Senator Wallace entered a secure room beneath his private estate. The space was filled with technology that no human company had manufactured. 3 figures waited for him. Draxians in their natural form, scaled and reptilian. The extraction teams have failed, one of the Draxians said, its voice a harsh whisper. The humans have found 3 keys already. Wallace paced the room. Tomorrow I visit their headquarters. I can disable their security systems from within. That will not be necessary, the Draxian replied. Our fleet approaches. We will handle this directly. Wallace stopped pacing. Fleet? That wasn't part of our agreement. You promised minimal intervention. The lead Draxian's eyes narrowed. The agreement has changed. Earth must not claim the arbiter's seat. But you promised Earth would be free from alien influence, Wallace protested. That was the whole point. The Draxian made a sound like a laugh. And you believed us? How naive. Earth will serve the Draxian Empire one way or another. Wallace reached for his phone, but one of the Draxians moved with impossible speed, grabbing his wrist. Your usefulness continues, Senator, it hissed. Do not test our patience. In Antarctica, Jack, Paul, and their team found an entrance to a cave system within the ice ridge. As they moved deeper, the temperature rose slightly. The walls began to show signs of artificial construction, too precise to be natural. This wasn't built by ancient humans, Dr. Foster whispered, running his hand along the smooth surface. This material isn't even from Earth. They reached a large chamber where a pedestal of the same material stood in the center. On it sat a blue, crystalline object similar to the previous keys. There it is, Jack said, moving forward. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. Ice cracked and fell from the ceiling. It's a trap, Paul shouted, pulling Jack back as a section of the floor collapsed. From the new opening, mechanical guardians rose, ancient security drones left by the founders. They were spherical with multiple appendages, each ending in what looked like weapons. Nobody move, Jack ordered. These might be automated defenses. The drones surrounded them but didn't attack. Instead, one approached Jack directly. A beam of light scanned him from head to toe. I think they're checking if we're human, Dr. Foster whispered. After several tense moments, the drones retreated to the edges of the chamber. The path to the key was clear. They recognized our genetic connection. To the founders, Jack realized. He carefully lifted the fourth key from its pedestal. Like the others, it began to glow when touched, patterns of light dancing across its surface. In the Amazon, Olivia and Eleanor faced a different challenge. The temple contained complex puzzles that needed to be solved to access the hidden chamber containing the key. The founders didn't just leave the keys, Olivia explained as she worked. They left tests to ensure only those with the right knowledge could retrieve them. Eleanor watched the forest nervously. Whatever you're doing, do it faster. We're exposed here. Finally, a section of the stone wall slid open, revealing a small chamber. Inside, a green crystalline key pulsed with light. As Olivia reached for it, they heard the guides shouting outside. "We've got company," Eleanor said, drawing her weapon. 3 Draxian hunters emerged from the forest, their human disguises already failing in the humid air. Patches of reptilian skin showed through the flickering camouflage. Eleanor fired, hitting one in the shoulder. It staggered but kept coming. "Get the key," she shouted to Olivia. "I'll hold them off." Olivia grabbed the 5th key and felt it pulse with energy. Remembering what she had learned from the 3rd key, she quickly adjusted its internal components. The green glow intensified. Outside, Eleanor took cover behind a tree as energy blasts from the Draxian weapons scorched the vegetation around her. She was outnumbered and outgunned. Just as the Draxians were closing in, a massive pulse of green energy burst from the temple. The Draxian technology failed instantly. Their biosuits shut down completely, leaving them vulnerable in Earth's atmosphere. Olivia emerged from the temple, the key still glowing in her hands. "We need to go. Now." In orbit around Earth, Kral's advanced ship received the distress signals from both teams of hunters. His anger was visible in the way his scales darkened. "The humans have found the 4th and 5th keys," he snarled. "Where are the final 2 located?" His science officer brought up a holographic map. "One is deep in Earth's ocean. The other—" He hesitated. "Where?" Kral demanded. "The 7th key is different. It's not an object but a person. A human with the complete genetic profile of the founders. We've identified her." Dr. Samantha Reed, a physicist at CERN. Kral's eyes widened. "A living key? Bring her to me. Alive." At Guardian Protocol headquarters, Zilvex and the other aliens gathered as the news came in. Both teams had succeeded in retrieving their keys. 5 keys secured, Zilvex announced. "But the Draxian fleet will arrive in 7 days. We must find the final 2 keys before then." One of the communication officers rushed in. "Sir, we've lost contact with Director Hughes and her team. Their transport has disappeared over the Atlantic." Zilvex's skin paled. "And Commander Holloway?" "Their signal is weak, but they're alive. Extraction is underway." The alien ambassador looked troubled. "Alert all Guardian Protocol sites, the final stage has begun." Jack stood in the control room of Guardian Protocol headquarters, his face grim as he studied the satellite images. The Draxian fleet was now visible approaching the outer planets of the solar system. 7 large ships moving with clear purpose toward Earth. "How long do we have?" he asked. 3 days at their current speed, Zilvex replied. "Less if they accelerate." Paul entered the room, his arm in a sling from injuries sustained in Antarctica. "Any word from Director Hughes?" "Nothing," Jack said. "But we can't wait. We need to find the last 2 keys." On the main screen, a map showed the location of the 6th key, deep in the Pacific Ocean near the Mariana Trench. The very place where Jack had found the first energy signature weeks ago. "The submarine USS Endeavour is already en route," Paul reported. "They'll reach the coordinates in 10 hours. "And Dr. Reed?" Jack asked. "Our agents are bringing her in now. She has no idea she's the 7th key." At CERN in Switzerland, Dr. Samantha Reed was working late when the power in her lab suddenly went out. Emergency lights came on, casting long shadows across her equipment. "Hello?" she called, reaching for her phone. It had no signal. A noise from the doorway made her turn. Instead of security guards, 3 reptilian figures stood there, their eyes reflecting the dim light. "Dr. Reed," one of them said in a rasping voice. "You will come with us." Samantha backed away. "What are you?" "Your genetic structure is required." the creature said, advancing slowly. The Draxian Empire claims you. Before they could reach her, the windows shattered as Guardian Protocol agents rappelled into the lab. Gunfire erupted, and Samantha dove. Behind her desk, a woman in tactical gear reached her. Dr. Reed, I'm Agent Maria Hayes. We're here to protect you. Please come with me now. In a secure facility beneath Washington, D.C., Senator Wallace sat alone in a cell. After learning the Draxians' true intentions, he had tried to warn the authorities. His Draxian allies had nearly killed him before Guardian Protocol agents intervened. The door opened and Olivia walked in. Her face showed fatigue, but her eyes were sharp. Where's Eleanor? Wallace asked immediately. Alive, Olivia replied. The Draxians captured her plane, but she managed to eject with the key. She's recovering in a medical facility. Wallace looked down. I thought I was saving humanity from alien control. I believed them. You nearly caused our extinction, Olivia said coldly. But now you have a chance to help us. What is the Draxian plan? Deep beneath the ocean surface, the USS Endeavour reached the coordinates for the sixth key. Special diving equipment allowed a team to descend to the incredible depth. What they found was not a simple artifact but an entire structure, a monitoring station built by the founders millions of years ago. Inside, preserved by advanced technology, was a chamber containing the sixth key. This one was larger than the others, a blue crystalline sphere pulsing with energy. As they retrieved it, the station began to power down, its purpose fulfilled after millions of years of silent vigilance. Back at headquarters, Jack received word that both the sixth key and Dr. Reed had been secured. All 7 keys were now in their possession, but activating them was another challenge entirely. The founders designed the system to require all keys to be brought together at a specific location, Zilvex explained. A temple hidden in what humans now call Greenland. We need to move quickly, Jack said. The Draxian fleet will be here in less than 2 days. Dr. Reed sat in a conference room, trying to process everything she had just been told. Her entire understanding of human history and evolution had been upended in a single hour. So my DNA contains the complete genetic profile of these founders? She asked Olivia. Yes, Olivia replied. You're essentially the living embodiment of the 7th key. Your genetic signature is needed to complete the activation sequence. And if I do this, Earth gets its seat on this galactic conclave. Not just a seat, the position of arbiter, the highest authority. It would ensure humanity's safety and independence for generations. Samantha took a deep breath. Then let's do it. A massive storm was brewing over Greenland as 3 aircraft approached a remote mountain range. On board were Jack, Olivia, Paul, Samantha, the 6 physical keys, and a team of Guardian Protocol agents. Zilvex and 2 other alien representatives accompanied them. Through the clouds, they could see the outline of what appeared to be an ancient temple built into the side of a mountain. It had been hidden from human discovery by advanced technology for thousands of years. The Draxians are tracking us, Paul reported as warning signals flashed on their instruments. 2 ships have broken from their fleet and are entering Earth's atmosphere. We need to hurry, Jack said as their aircraft landed on a plateau near the temple entrance. Inside, the temple opened into a vast chamber. In the center stood a circular platform with 7 distinct slots, 1 for each key. Olivia carefully placed the 6 physical keys in their positions. Each began to glow more brightly, their energies connecting in beams of light above the platform. Dr. Reed, Zilvex said, please stand in the 7th position. Samantha stepped onto the platform. The entire chamber hummed with energy as light enveloped her. Outside, the Guardian Protocol agents reported movement. Draxian landing craft were approaching. We don't have much time, Paul warned, checking his weapon. In the chamber, the activation sequence was nearly complete. The keys pulsed in harmony, their energies combining. Samantha felt a strange sensation as her genetic material resonated with the ancient technology. Suddenly, the temple shook as explosions rocked the mountainside. The Draxians had arrived. Keep going, Jack shouted as he and Paul ran to help defend the entrance. A blinding column of light shot upward from the temple, through the mountain and into space, a beacon announcing Earth's claim to its reserved. Seared across the planet, people looked up in wonder as new stars seemed to appear in the daylight sky. The conclave arrival had begun. In orbit, the Draxian ships faced a new threat. Hundreds of vessels representing all conclave members had appeared, surrounding Earth in a protective formation. Kral raged on his bridge as a transmission came through. It was Zilvex. "The claim is complete," the ambassador said. "Earth has taken its rightful place. The conclave recognizes humanity as the inheritors of the founder's legacy." On the conclave's central station, 27,000 light-years from Earth, a seat that had remained empty for millions of years awaited its new occupant. 1 week later, Jack, Olivia, Paul, and Samantha stood in that chamber as representatives of humanity. Before them, alien delegates from thousands of worlds watched as Samantha took her place on the Arbiter's chair. The circle was complete. Earth had claimed the seat that had been reserved for it since before humans had even evolved. Not as newcomers, to the galactic community, but as the rightful heirs to those who had created it. As Jack watched the ceremony, he thought about the incredible journey that had brought them here. Earth's seat was secured long before humans discovered space, waiting patiently for the day when they would return to claim their cosmic legacy.